I'm learning how to cosplay! I'm building basically like a cosplay uniform for Jet's new event series, Desert Fox event series. And since I'm the commander, I'm putting together this sort of modern gladiator style loadout. So, old Lazer Viper kindly offered to help me out, and so now I'm going to learn how to cosplay.
I'm well versed in the nerd.
This is obviously going to take more than one session, so this is session 1. So I have to get traced because I'm building an armor. I think I should...
Which arm do you want it to be on?
It's so if I'm shooting...
Are you lefty or righty?
I'm right. So I think it probably should
It's
be
actually
my
easier
left.
to do your left. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're righty, because then you don't have to worry about it when you get back in here.
It would be super awkward to have it on my right arm, probably.
I mean, we'll make it so that you can do either. Like, you'll be able to shoot either hand, but it'll be easier.
Probably should take my hoodie off. Huh? Yeah, I feel like I'm always cold too. Okay. Like my shirt, it's awesome.
It's awesome. So we're doing, it's
shirt.
just a shoulder piece, right?
Yeah.
Scoot up more.
A little bit.
Like,
Okay.
a little more.
Right there.
And then just straighten your arm.
Straight?
Like that, yeah.
Like that?
Yep.
Okay. Let me start.
Go up, do her neck as well. Do the whole thing.
That whole part?
Yes.
Whoa.
Sorry, my hands are cold.
You're not, I don't even feel them.
Rays of light.
Whoa, that's your shoulder!
My arm looks so tiny. That's funny. I mean, I do have a small arm.
So this is kind of what we're going to end up with. And what this is basically we're going to literally just trace like this where you want the shoulder armor to sit.
Oh.
And because it's 1/2, we'll cut out 2 halves and then we'll put the 2 together and then it'll make that nice little bubble. So in this one, since we want to mount the skull to it, it's probably best to not make it super like flared. Like on this one, you can see on the end, I kind of flared it out a little bit. And that's just because like on mine, I wanted it to come off the arm more, but since the skull is the part that we want coming off, we'll try and make this a little more like flat.
Master nerd.
That's right.
We're moving through the night with destiny in our sights. We've got to fight.
Tracing a sketch of what the armor will, like an outline of the armor.
Yeah, basically how it's going to sit on your arm. And
Okay.
then since it's in halves, what we're going to do is once we like the shape, we're going to put these registration marks in here so that when we cut it out and trace it onto the foam, when you put the 2 halves together, there's marks to let you know how they line up
Oh man.
so that everything stays symmetrical.
I'm so glad you're teaching me this. Because I watched some videos and I was like, oh man, this looks easy, but I know I'm going to f it up.
It's definitely easy to do, but the nice thing is like when you're doing shoulder armor like this, like with this particular pattern, I have the first version that I cut out, and then I cut it out of the foam and put it together, and I was like, oh, this sucks. But then you can see why it sucks, and like, oh, I needed to make it longer, so like I added this piece at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then the second time I put it all together, it was fine.
Huh. That's cool. So you've done this more than once, obviously.
Done it a few times.
I also feel like this is something, it helps to be a good artist if you're going to make...
Not really, because I mean, you're just tracing yourself.
Yeah. But you're making a design.
I guess so. I'm making a shape.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Shapes are hard sometimes.
that's what this cool thing is for.
What cool thing? Or it's also mimosas and things.
It's Sunday, you know.
Sunday Funday.
Funday.
So this is just a flexible ruler. And what I use that to is like, as you can see, like my sketch lines are kind of crappy, but I just got a general idea. So then when I make my pattern, I can actually kind of form this to
Whoa, that's
the
fancy.
shape. And then
What
once
is
I
that
have
called?
I think it's just called a flexible ruler.
I didn't even
I don't think it has a name other than that.
Wow.
As a kid, can you imagine if you could draw with one of those?
Yeah. Oh, I wish I had
have
one.
of those.
We missed out.
My childhood is ruined. I could have been a true artist.
Only I had a flexible ruler.
Mom would put my art on the refrigerator.
All our pain to take what still remains of our minds.
And there you go.
Wow.
We'll do that for the rest.
It's a lot easier when you probably have the supplies too, huh?
Totally.
If I were to freehand this, that would be a lot.
I mean, you can freehand it. It's just been easier for me when you're cutting patterns out and all that good stuff to have a nice clean line to work with.
Yeah, that
So-
makes sense. Also, look at this. Isn't this so cute? My grandma had one of these. It's so adorable. Look at the little pepper.
There's no shame. There's no shame in my pin game.
I came home and he was on the floor with all his pins and he was like, sticking them all in there.
Oh, that's so cute.
I was like, is that what I think it is? Pin cushion.
Oh, and they all match too. Oh.
Another
You purposely choose a red hot chili pepper.
another necessary virtue to be a cosplay master is to be aggressively unashamed.
Aggressively unashamed.
I don't even care. I like my pin cushion.
This is also really fun for me because I'm just watching you do the work.
And there you go.
Wow.
So the next thing we're going to do is put in what are called registration marks. And you want to put them maybe like 1.5 inches apart to 2 inches down the edges where you're going to connect to other pieces. So because this is basically half the shoulder armor and we need to cut 2 halves, we also need to know how they line up together. So we have to cut these little registration marks in, and then when you're gluing everything together, it makes it a lot easier.
So what paper is this that you're using?
It's just vellum. It's like tracing
Vellum?
paper.
Thick.
Yeah, so it's like this is basically kind of like a thick tracing paper, and it works really good for patterns because it's thick and it holds its shape, but then also you can see through to trace yourself.
Wow.
So let's cut this thing out, shall we? We need
Cut it out.
an xacto knife. One like this.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Makes
all
sense.
We're building this on a Sunday, so we're having Sunday fun day.
That's right.
So we'll see how exciting, or hopefully we don't mess up my costume. Internet, send help! Hurry!
Don't critique me.
Actually, that was supposed to be step 5. And it's at step 2.
Probably. Oh, and we just invented a new mimosa.
Yeah.
It's cranberry, orange, and champagne. It's a cran orange mimosa. I hear it's good. I'm just drinking cranberry and vodka. Okay, what are
So
we done and what's next?
we've got your shoulder trace.
My shoulder OMG. Leah's shoulder OMG.
We've got our registration marks cut out, and this is how we're going to keep everything together. So the next step is just tracing it onto this, which is called EVA foam. This is literally like the foam you can get that you use as like a floor mat. So it's
Yeah.
like got the texture on one
I
side.
looked it up on Amazon. I found it.
Yeah, and it's pretty cheap.
Yeah,
it
it's like
comes
gym
in
foam.
different thicknesses. For BB shootings, I prefer this thickness, which I think is 3/8. It holds up really well to getting
Oh, so
shots.
getting bonked.
Yeah, getting bonked for sure.
Oh, this makes sense. So that makes it easier to cut it.
That way it's not going anywhere.
Oh,
So we're
right.
gonna trace it now with the Sharpie on here, and then we're gonna cut it out.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
There's my shoulder pad.
Ta-da! Half
One.
of it anyway.
Yeah, 1/2.
We're gonna flip it over because obviously we're gonna have mirror halves.
Uh-huh.
You're such a genius.
So this is how it's gonna go, and then you can see how like there's these registration marks.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna glue this as the seam, and you'll use these marks to see. Oh, okay, I'm like in the right spot as you fold it in. Otherwise,
Man.
things get like super wonky, super fast.
Yeah, I'm glad I have you. I'm glad you're teaching me this. Because I I would have just like been making stuff and like, this is wrong. I'm excited for this. To be able to make like a fun costume to play BB Wars in. It's what I've always wanted to do ever since I learned about airsoft. This is so exciting.
Alright, we're ready to cut this out. I'm not going to do it on this table though, because...
Time to cut out my shoulder thing, armor.
The reason I use these little breakaway ones, is because EVA foam dulls your blade super fast.
Oh, really?
Like literally 2 or 3 cuts and it's like wasted.
Really?
Yeah, so I
Whoa.
usually do like this, where I'll have one piece out and then make a couple of cuts and then you use the snap off thing and then just keep going until
Whoa.
you're done.
Okay. Do I cut all the way through the first time, or do
Yeah,
I just? Okay.
try and cut all the way through.
I did a great job of staying on the line.
We can work with it.
Okay, make sure I cut all the way through.
And try and stay like as straight up and down as possible too.
Oh, okay.
There's times where cutting at an angle, depending on what you're making, can actually help you piece things together, but in the shoulder department...
I did it! I did it! Woo! I made some shoulder pads.
We're done. That's it.
Alright, great.
They're totally complete.
They're not totally even. Oh my god, this is so terrible.
Okay, so we have to curve these
Yeah,
things.
if we want them to actually sit, they have to be curved. So the best way to do that is with a heat gun. The other reason why you need to heat treat these foam pads is if you're going to paint them, this is a porous surface, so you need to close those pores to allow paint to stick. So that's what we're going to do.
And then you form it? Oh,
Yeah, we'll
okay.
just start to bend it. And you'll see it starting
Yeah.
to curve.
Whoa, look at it smoking.
It's literally a smoking gun.
It's smoking.
Literally.
We're gluing the shoulder pads together.
So these are the edges that we're gluing because of our registration marks. And you literally just coat your edge with glue.
Searching within, we've justified our sin.
Looks like it's just like rubber cement on steroids.
Pretty much what it is.
Zoe in the background. Zoe, are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Zoe.
She was concerned.
Making sure you're not nerf raiding our house again. She's on Overwatch right now.
I remember.
I've seen
remember
this
you.
guy here before.
It's trouble. I had to bite him.
Last time he was here, he tried to take my mom hostage.
We're gonna take you on a ride till we find answers within. Location not here. In shadows we all disappear.
So once you coat your edges, you just let it sit for like a minute or two and it'll get all tacky.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll put it all together. You can kind of tell when it's getting more tacky when it's less shiny.
Oh, okay.
So you
I
can
was
see
wondering.
You can see spots on it that are like not as shiny as they were.
And that's what you want?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want it to not be shiny, basically.
Yeah. The only thing that sucks about costuming is the patience aspect, because a lot of times I just want to put it together.
Yeah.
But then you try it and then it like the glue gets all gross and peels back apart and yeah. So.
That's true. I don't have a lot of patience, so I'm glad someone is telling me I have to have it.
Unfortunate.
You cannot rush this process.
No. Here these together. So these registration marks that we use is how we're gonna guide these two pieces together. So you start with this bottom one here and just line them up. Make sure your edges are good.
Oh, wow.
Hold on, switch gears. We're going as fast as we appear.
That's super awesome glue. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You also don't have to like do it all at once, so you can put these three that are like easy together for a minute and let them sit.
Yeah.
You'll see it like some places where it's like this, you just keep pushing it back together.
Wow.
Going as fast as we appear.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it will sit on your shoulder like that.
My shoulders are a little smaller than yours. That's funny. Hooray!
But see like how this side's kind of bulgy on this side and not on this side? Once this dries too, we can heat it back up and kind of reshape
Oh, and shape it a little more.
Just make it a little more uniform.
All right, sushi time.
Woo!